Hi there again YouTube, and thanks very much for joining me. In the last video we had a look at the HP Proliant Gen8 Micro server. Now I've been doing a little bit of work on this and I've managed to now get it up and running. So in this video, after the intro, we're going to take a look at that, and on the big screen it is actually connected to the server, which is right here. We can just slide that out. The server is right there, so after the intro we're going to take a look at that. And that is coming up on today's show. Okay, so here we are. We're at the server. In fact, we're actually at the communications rack as well. Now, all of you have seen this before. I've featured this in many other videos, but the thing is now virtually complete. So we'll just recap over what we have got going on. So we have our switches up the top here for our power. Then we have our necessary devices, such as our adaptive security appliance up top here, followed by our 4 routers, the server, which is here in question, which we're going to be looking at, and we have 3 switches at the bottom, 1, 2 and 3 respectfully. But that's not the focus of today's show. It's actually the server. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the back of this to show you how I got this hooked up to a TV. Okay, so we're at the back of the server and this is on a slide out rail. So we have access to that. Now, it is important with the Gen8s to know that these are VGA output. So I'm going to leave the links in the description bar below at some point to actually get a VGA to HDMI converter. That's going to be essential if you want to hook this up to a modern television or a monitor or some other kind of affair. Now also what I have plugged in is the USB for the HDMI adapter as well. That's plugged in next to the Ethernet cable, Cat8 cable, which is connected to the internet as we speak. And then of course, this goes without saying, that is just the power cable there. So that's pretty much that, and we'll have a look at the front. So here we are, we're at the front of the server. As we said, give reference to the sliding rail. The sliding shelf that's on just gives us ease of access for maintenance. By maintenance, I can undo the 2 thumb screws at the back and simply lift this top cover off, which is what we're going to do now, because there are some things to indeed show you. So the cover just slides back and then lifts off, like so, giving us access to the inside. And as you'll see, I've added a SATA cable here which goes into the motherboard, and that's for the data, the blue one, and then there's the power cable which goes to our SATA drive. And if we just turn the camera around a little bit, zoom in, you can actually see that that's the data cable there onto the motherboard. Now, installing the OS was a little bit finicky because what I had to do was essentially take the server off, out of the rack completely, and I had to move it over there. Now, the reason for that is because I couldn't see the BIOS properly via the HDMI. So I actually had to move it over onto my first work desk, where I have a VGA cable and a VGA monitor. That enabled me to load Windows Server 2019 essentially onto the hard drive. Well, it's not a hard drive, it's actually a solid state drive. It's clearly written on there. But you pretty much essentially get the point. So I can just put this top cover back on. Just got to be mindful of these cables. Now, I haven't actually cleaned the inside of this out yet, but I do plan on doing that at some point for further maintenance. If we turn our attention back to the front, I do have a USB sort of hub affair sticking out of the front. That is for a wireless keyboard and mouse. So essentially what I can now do, and do excuse the mess, there's still quite a lot of work in progress, but I can actually sit down here and I can now work on the server. Now it does say that restart is required, so we'll have a look at that in just a moment. In fact, we'll do that now, seeing as the opportunity has arisen. So it's just a case now of actually restarting this. And what we can mention about the Gen8 is, while this is doing this, is that all of the necessary server software for your drivers is actually compatible with the HP Proliant Micro Server Gen8. So out the box, when you install Server 2019 onto the server, then you don't really need to worry too much about drivers. There is one, however, which we will have a look at some point, which is the base system device, I do believe it is. Now, not quite sure what that's for. It might be for the RAID controller, because essentially if we turn our attention back to the server, it can be set up as a RAID server because you have 4 drive bays here. Now this is also going to come up in another video because I've been doing some shopping and I've bought 4 SAS drives for it, each at 3 terabytes. But I was sort of digressing there because, as I was mentioning about the drivers and about the software, it is that one driver that is not appearing to be working. But again, we'll have a look at that just briefly. Sorry about the reflection, by the way. There's not much I can do about that. So we'll just give this a moment to boot up. What I can do is actually center the camera. And zoom out. There we go. That looks a little better. Perhaps. Sort of. So we'll just give this a moment and we'll let this all initialize and boot and see what we get. So as you see, it is actually going through power on self-test, that's done. And the SAT controller is initializing. That's for the hard drive, which we have here, the SSD that we have installed. So we're just now allowing the rest of this to boot, and Windows should load. Those two beeps are pretty much normal, I do believe. That may indicate, though, that we are missing 4 hard drives in that. So we'll just give this a moment. And as I said, I do apologise for the reflection. There we are. It's now saying that Windows is getting ready, so it's just working on the updates now. Because as you saw prior to me restarting the server, I was actually in the middle of doing updates. We'll just give this a while. There we are. That now appears to have loaded. So I can now just log in. And as you see, it actually boots up fairly quickly. And we'll just have a look at the device manager now to see if that has indeed changed. No, it's a base system device. So if we zoom in on that, you can actually see it. It's the base system device there that we need to find the drivers for. Now, that's something I'm going to do at my leisure. But that's pretty much it for now. And just to show you that it is Windows Server 2019, what we can do is essentially go to here, about the PC, and it's Windows Server 2019 Standard. And we are running 16 gigabytes of RAM. And the processor inside the Proliant Micro server Gen8 is indeed a Celeron G1610T at 2.30 gigahertz. That's per core, and it looks like it has 2 cores on it. Right, so there we are. Thank you very much again, YouTube, for watching that video. This is now, however, the end of the video. And as always, I look forward to your comments. Please do like, comment, share and subscribe as always. And I will see you in the next one. But for now, as always, I'm wishing you all of the very best. So see you soon. Take care and bye for now.